Now, the Prime Minister of Australia has delivered a formal apology to hundreds of thousands of women affected by the policy of forced adoption. Julia Gillard said the mothers, most of them unmarried teenagers who'd had their babies taken from them, had been betrayed by a system. It's estimated 250,000 babies were taken from their mothers during the 1950s, 60s and 70s. Well, here in the UK, women with similar experiences are looking to the British government for that apology. Helen Jeffries had her son forcibly removed and put up for adoption back in 1966, despite asking for help from the authorities. And Helen, thanks for coming in and sharing what has been, I know, an incredibly traumatic time in your life. You were homeless, and that's why your son was taken away?
I lost my housing because of having the baby, because in those days landlords used to say no dogs, no blacks, no children. And so I became homeless as a result of having my son. And
your son was forcibly taken from you?
Well, he was. I didn't want him taken, and I made that very clear. But I wasn't offered any alternative solutions by the what would now be the social services.
What effect did that have on your life?
It was traumatic. I spent many years in a state of grief and I suppose almost like post-traumatic syndrome. I got on with my life, or you know, did my best to get on with my life, but I was so worried about my son and where he was and whether he was alive.
So you never cut that bond? You never felt that
people ask me, did you think about him on his birthday? And I think that's a really silly question. I thought about him every day of the year. You know, I never didn't think of him.
And you got back in touch, you found him?
I found him when he was 26, which is 21 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And have you been able to build some kind of relationship since then?
Yes, oh, absolutely. We've become very close. We've got a loving and a working relationship, really. He calls me mother. And
when you see what's happened in Australia, where they've taken this on board, there's been the apology. I mean, for a lot of people would say it's such a hideous thing to go for. What is one word going to do to ease the pain on that? It's going to do a lot. Right. I was really moved today and really happy for those women to see Julia Gillard make that apology. It means so much, and I think I would really like our government to take on board that actually sorry has a huge effect. It really helps people to move on. I think it gives some kind of, it makes a statement that we were not sort of shameful and... Was that how it felt at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a huge amount of secrecy and shame around adoption. So it was something you never you were supposed not to talk about. But actually, some of us have, for quite a long time, been talking about it and actually wanted to make it possible for all the birth mothers to speak about it if they want to.
And do you think that this will come from the government now? Have you had an indication that...
There's an early day motion which I think now something like 94 MPs have signed, but from the actual government of the day there is a very negative response, I have to say, at the moment. They seem to think that it was the social and moral values of the time, and that there's nothing to apologise for. And I think it was really telling that Julia Gillard said that she wanted to apologise to the mothers who were betrayed by the system.
Right.
And I think that's what happened to us.
Helen, thank you very much indeed.
Can I just say that we do have a website, the Movement for Adoption Apology, and there is a possibility to get in touch with us.
Movement for Adoption Apology, for any of those listening who would like to join that cause, that group. Helen, thank you very much indeed.